All right, I am here. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be. We're going to be getting started in about 3 minutes at the top of the hour. Still waiting for the video to pop into YouTube. There it goes. All right, it says that we're live now. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be. All right, we'll be getting started here in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes Turkish. Yeah. Hope your Easter weekend was great. So yeah, we're going to try to get a whole bunch of point of views in today as fast as we can. I'm not doing any jobs today. Anyway, give me 1 minute and I'll be right back and we'll get going. One more minute and we'll get going. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kenny is here. It's 1 p.m. and it's time for episode number 288 of Sky Dude. And we're going to try to do a speed sightseeing today. See if we can get in over 30 points of interest. But real quick, some news that just came out, and I verified it. For those of you that are doing career and you're doing the aerial firefighting, the jobs are back. I don't know why the aerial firefighting jobs were gone for 2 weeks, but they're back now. So, and I did check and they're there. Okay. Boy. All right. So I want to see if I can get in at least 30 points of interest. Now, not every one of these has a Bushtalk audio attached to it. And trying to do this last night, run through a couple of these. The simulator crashed on me. So I got my fingers crossed today. So the first thing we're headed to is some an area where it's some waterfalls. They're not fully realized.
Parking brake.
But we'll see what we can get. All right, so speed sightseeing today. We are in Washington. This is where we ended our career last week. Not ended our career, but you know, we stopped. And I figured, what better plane to try to do some fast sightseeing than the F-35. Now, we should have just enough fuel if I don't play with the afterburner too much to get where we need to go. And I don't want to be too aggressive. I'm going to be going as fast as I can. Kind of shaking around a little bit. Did you have a good Easter? I had a great Easter. Good weekend overall. Actually spent a lot of time working on cleaning up my SEO on YouTube. All right, our first point of interest should be coming up right here, the Walupt Creek Falls. Uh-oh, don't want to be blacking out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, nothing is, it's not pausing. Uh-oh.
Walupt Creek Falls is a relatively
Where are you
massive waterfall on a large of the Sispas River in Lewis County, Washington, at an elevation of 3,500 feet. The falls cascade 221 feet down a bedrock cliff in 2 tiers, with an average breadth of 2.
Sorry, already starting off on the wrong foot. I don't know why
200
it didn't
feet and an average flow of over 1
the simulator.
cubic feet per second. The creek begins the drop by falling down a 10-feet cascade, then impacts a large, bell-shaped dome and spreads into a wide fan, dropping 200 feet. The final drop is a gently sloping slide that flows directly into the Sispas River. The feeder river, Walupt Creek, is sourced directly from Walupt Lake, which provides a consistent flow throughout the year. The drainage basin of the river is also fairly large. Shortly upstream, a series of cascades, 24 feet, 8 feet, and 29 feet high respectively, form the upper Walupt Creek Falls. The cascades total 61 feet in height.
All right. So again, I'm sorry, I don't know why it wasn't responding to the pause command. I want to pause at least for a moment over each of these locations. All right, next point straight ahead. And it's not letting me do anything in that view or that view. Will it pause again? Okay, it's pausing. All right, Bighorn.
Bighorn is a tall peak in the Cascade Range in the U.S. state of Washington. This officially unnamed peak is the highest point in Lewis County. Bighorn, one of the Goat Rocks, is the second highest point on the ridge west of Gilbert Peak, in the Goat Rocks Wilderness. It is just west of the highest point on the ridge, called Goat Citadel. It is said to be the most difficult pitch on the easiest routes of Washington's 39 county high points. There is a 10-foot vertical crack near Bighorn's summit. Fred Beckey rates this pitch as a difficult class 4.
It looks like, I don't know, is that the 10-foot crack right there? Yeah. I've never really been a mountain climber. There we go. That's the view I want. All right, next point coming up just ahead. It's another strange rock formation. I absolutely love the F-35. It is the first, oh, by the way, this is the Goat Rocks Wilderness. So this in itself is a point of view. We're over here to the right, we have the Ahtanum. So everything to the right over here, this is all called Ahtanum State Forest. So another point of view. Point of interest. That's Adams out there way in the distance. We did that last week. Mount Adams. Another potentially active volcano at some point. We don't have a Bushtalk for Tieton State, and I'm not really sure what it is, but it is an airstrip and recognized as a point of interest. Here we go. Kloochman's Rock.
Kloochman Rock is a 1,200-foot-high shear-faced piece of andesite that rises up just east of White Pass near Rimrock Lake in the Washington Cascades. Kloochman Rock lies within the Wenatchee National Forest, which is basically just southeast of Mount Rainier and northeast of Mount Adams. It is just east of the Goat Rocks area. The name Kloochman is Chinook for wife. Indian legend says Kloochman was a woman turned to stone by a medicine man. Nearby Goose Egg Mountain was supposed to be a Yakima chief as well.
This was supposed to be a woman that was turned into a rock by a medicine man, huh? That's a trip. Take a good look at it here. Poor lady. Uh-oh, we hit the rock. Just wish it would give me the view that I want properly. All right. Okay, so now it's a hard turnaround and head kind of back towards the way we came. This is still the Ahtanum State Forest. And as I spin around, directly in front of us is going to be the William O. Douglas Wilderness. And Oak Creek Wildlife Area and Rock Creek Wildlife Area and Norse Peak Wilderness. So all this out here looks like nature preserves and, you know, just national forest stuff. Making myself pass out. All right, so this is called Tieton State, and I'm really not sure what it is. I didn't have pull up the wiki on it. Another point of interest. Easy, easy, easy. Oh, no, really? Ah, well. Trying to be a little daring and show off. This should be a pass up here. Pass. Yeah. White Pass.
White Pass is a mountain pass in the northwest United States, located in the Cascade Range of Washington, southeast of Mount Rainier and north of Goat Rocks. U.S. Highway 12 travels over White Pass, connecting Yakima County on the east with Lewis County. A shortcut route across White Pass between Packwood and Notches was first established 89 years ago as State Road 5 in 1931, and the link was completed in August 1951 along the current route, later designated U.S. Route 12. White Pass Ski Area, located at the summit, opened on January 11, 1953. Champion ski racing twins Phil and Steve Maher grew up on White Pass, where their father Dave Maher was the mountain manager for the ski area. White Pass is also the home mountain of professional snowboarder Mark Frank Montoya, owner of the Block Hotels. As the crow flies, the pass is approximately 25 miles southeast of the summit of Mount Rainier and 30 miles north of Mount Adams.
All right, give me one moment here. Saying hello to Henning in the chat room. All right, so cool, a ski resort. All right. Mount Rainier out there in the distance. So again, we're going into the this whole area is a giant a wilderness area designated the William O. Douglas Wilderness Area. As far as the eye can see, and again, then beyond this, beyond these areas right here, are like wildlife preserves. 3 different ones out there. All right, let's head towards Rainier. The area we're going into right now is designated as the Tatoosh. The Tatoosh Wilderness Area. Happy belated Easter. And I hope you had a great weekend. Tomorrow is school again, so I'll see you tomorrow. Yep. Sounds great. What lovely, lovely, lovely terrain this is. I'm fond of mountains. Very, very, very fond. Hey, where'd my mountain go? There it is. So we'll swing around the right side here and then kind of climb towards the top. The park is on the right side, and then a glacial area. I guess this she'll say in her audio tour on all this that there used to be a lot more glacial snow everywhere, extending all the way out towards like Puget Sound, and that's far. Okay, here comes the park area up ahead.
Mount Rainier, also known as Tacoma or Tacoma, is a large active stratovolcano in the Cascade Range of the Pacific Northwest, located in Mount Rainier National Park about 59 miles south-southeast of Seattle. With a summit elevation of 14,411 feet, it is the highest mountain in the U.S. state of Washington and the Cascade Range, the most topographically prominent mountain in the contiguous United States, and the tallest in the Cascade Volcanic Arc. Due to its high probability of eruption in the near future, Mount Rainier is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world, and
Crazy.
Decade volcano list. The large amount of glacial ice means that Mount Rainier could produce massive lahars which could threaten the entire Puyallup River Valley. According to the United States Geological Survey, about 80,000 people and their homes are at risk in Mount Rainier's lahar hazard zone.
Oh my lord. All right, so that was the national park. Here is the audio tour for the mountain itself.
Mount Rainier, also known as Tacoma or Tacoma, is a large active stratovolcano in the Cascade Range of the Pacific Northwest, located in Mount Rainier National Park about 59 miles south-southeast of Seattle. With a summit elevation of 14,411 feet, It is the highest mountain in the U.S. state of Washington and the Cascade Range, the most topographically prominent mountain in the contiguous United States, and the tallest in the Cascade Volcanic Arc. Due to its high probability of eruption in the near future, Mount Rainier is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes.
Oh, okay. Well, that was the same one.
And it is on the Decade Volcano list.
My bad.
Mount Rainier National Park is an American national park located in southeast Pierce County and northeast Lewis County in Washington state. The park was established on March 2, 1899 as the fifth national park in the United States, preserving 236,381 acres including all of Mount Rainier, a 14,411-foot stratovolcano. The mountain rises abruptly from the surrounding land with elevations in the park ranging from 1,600 feet to over 14,000 feet. The highest point in the Cascade Range, Mount Rainier is surrounded by valleys, waterfalls, subalpine meadows, and 91,000 acres of old-growth forest. More than 25 glaciers descend the flanks of the volcano, which is often shrouded in clouds that dump enormous amounts of rain and snow. Mount Rainier is circled by the Wonderland Trail and is covered by glaciers and snowfields totaling about 35 square miles. Carbon Glacier is the largest glacier by volume in the contiguous United States, while Emmons Glacier is the largest glacier by area. Mount Rainier is a popular peak for mountaineering with some 10,000 attempts per year, with approximately 50% making it to the summit.
Isn't that crazy? It looks like it, when these glacial flows move, it looks like it's just carved out a highway. And that's crazy. This is definitely the star of the show today. Beautiful, crazy. Beautiful, but at the same time, just crazy scary. But there's absolute beauty to it for sure. All right. Now it is time to descend. All right. These next ones, I don't know that we can actually see anything. It's a church. And then we have a dam coming up. This is the Elbe Hills State Forest. A community forest, Mount Rainier Gateway Protected Area, Tacoma State Forest, interesting rock formation that I flew by down here. Let's see if I can find it again. I can't tell if those are trees or rocks that are standing up. Oh, I thought I refueled. Looks like we burned through most of our fuel already.
The Elbe Evangelical Lutheran Church is a small church in Elbe, Washington, United States. The land and lumber which were used to build the church were donated by German immigrants Henry and Clara Lutkin. The main building of the church is 24 feet by 18 feet. The steeple rises to 55 feet with an iron cross at the top. The church was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. The church has been listed by sources including Ripley's Believe It or Not.
And it's not here.
Smallest functional church.
It's so small we can't see it unless that's it right there. The world's smallest functional church. Either way, this is where it is supposed to be. Now the dam coming up.
Alder Dam is a concrete thick arch dam on the Nisqually River in the U.S. state of Washington. The construction began in 1942 and was completed in 1945. At this time, Alder Dam was among the tallest dams in the United States, although this title has since been surpassed. The impounded water behind the dam forms Alder Lake, stretching about 7 miles upstream with a capacity of 241,950 acre-feet. With 28 miles of shoreline, the lake is a popular recreation spot close to Mount Rainier National Park. Water from Alder Lake is sent into 2 generators at the base of the dam, each of which produces 25 megawatts for a total nameplate capacity of 50 megawatts. 2 miles downstream is La Grande Dam, site of the first dam in the area, dating from 1912, and rebuilt in 1945 along with Alder's construction. Most of the energy produced at the dam is sent to the city of Tacoma, about 25 miles north. Both Alder and La Grande dams are owned and operated by Tacoma Power. The name of the lake and the dam recalls the former small town of Alder, which was flooded in 1945 by the impounded water of the lake and disappeared.
I turned the wrong way. Next place should be Samson. Don't have a write-up on it. Swanson. A place here called Hugo Peak. The town is Eatonville. This is Swanson Airport. Coming up next, we have the Northwest Trek.
Northwest Trek Wildlife Park is a 723-acre wildlife park located near the town of Eatonville, Washington, United States. The park is home to black and grizzly bears, gray wolves, bald eagles, a cougar, wolverines, bobcats, and more. Its primary feature is a tram tour which takes visitors through a 435-acre free roam area. The park also allows guests to drive their own vehicles past bison, mountain goats, Roosevelt elk, deer, caribou, swans and more on a wild drive tour. Guests can also take a Premier Keeper adventure tour and go off-road in a Jeep with a keeper and up close to wildlife. The Zip Wild zipline is also open seasonally. Northwest Trek Wildlife Park is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. The park and its companion zoo, Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium in Tacoma, are both owned and operated by Metro Parks Tacoma.
All right. Next, Joint Base Lewis McChord. Easy. It's a forest reserve community right out here. Peacemaker landing zone. Actually, let's see if we can get some gas maybe here or at the next place. I don't know if we can slow down enough. I don't know why it's called the Peacemaker landing zone. Again, didn't look this one up, and we don't have an audio for it. Let me just go to the next place. Oh, is it telling us? Well, we haven't got a bingo yet. Bingo jet aeroliner.
The 1949 Olympia earthquake occurred on April 13 at 11:55 and 44 seconds local time with a moment magnitude of 6.7 and a maximum Mercalli intensity of 8. The shock was located in the area between Olympia and Tacoma, and was felt throughout the state, as well as parts of Oregon, British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. It is the largest recorded earthquake to occur in the Puget Sound region of Washington. 8 people were killed, a minimum of 64 people were injured, and the total damage is estimated at $25 million.
All right. Gray Air Force Base, Madigan Army Medical Center, America Lake. And then the other one, the Joint Base McClellan. Not McClellan, McCord. Still going 400 knots. Gray Air Force Base. How did we miss it? There's McCord Field, Joint Base Lewis.
MccOrd Field started in 1927 from a local drive to provide U.S. Army Base Fort Lewis with an airfield. A local bond campaign provided funding to buy land north of the base, which was soon bought and established as Tacoma Airfield. The field was transferred to the U.S. government in 1938, and in 1940 was renamed MccOrd Field in honor of the recently deceased Chief of the Training and Operations Division in HQ Army Air Corps, Colonel William Caldwell MccOrd. In 1980, MccOrd planes were used to search for survivors of the Mount St. Helens eruption, and to evacuate survivors, and in 1991 MccOrd helped evacuate Clark Air Force following the eruption of Mount Pinatubo. 2005 saw MccOrd's 62nd Wing airlifting food and other supplies to survivors of Hurricane Katrina, and in 2006 the same squadrons helped evacuate over 12,000 civilians from combat zones in Cyprus.
Right.
Parking brake. Parking brake.
Okay.
American Lake is a lake located in Lakewood, Washington and Joint Base Lewis MccOrd. It is the largest natural lake in Pierce County. There are 2 public parks on the large
That's
lake,
cool. Look at all the little piers around that little island.
Arena and Harry Todd Park.
They must party their butts off there.
Side beaches for
That one too.
fishing or picnicking. The first also features a boat launching area, the latter has tennis courts. Fishing is a popular activity at American Lake, with cutthroat
Not bad.
largemouth bass,
That sounds good.
rock bass, smallmouth bass, sockeye salmon and yellow perch the most sought-after game fish. Department of Fish and Wildlife regularly monitors the health of the fishery and stocks favored species regularly.
That's great. Oh, this next one's sad. And this next one is so sad. I remember hearing the audio for this.
On August 10, 2018, a Horizon Air Bombardier Dash 8Q400 was stolen from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in SeaTac, Washington. The perpetrator, 29-year-old Richard Russell, was a Horizon Air Ground Service agent with no piloting experience. He performed an unauthorized takeoff and 2 McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle fighters were subsequently scrambled to intercept the aircraft. SeaTac Air Traffic Control made radio contact with Russell, the sole occupant, who described himself as a broken guy, got a few screws loose, I guess. Approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes after takeoff, Russell committed suicide by intentionally crashing the aircraft on the lightly populated Ketron Island in Puget Sound.
Yeah, he just, I don't know what it was, he just was having a bad life. Things weren't going well for him or whatever, but that's what he chose to do. He chose to take a plane and go for a joyride before taking himself out. Very sad. All right, we have a golf course coming up ahead. How do you feel about a round of golf? Is there anybody watching? If so, we'll get a plus to our dice rolls against the local team. Let me see here. Yeah. It says, no, that just says this concurrent viewers. So this is, I guess, like a proper English style golf course.
Chambers Bay is a public golf course in the Northwest United States, located in University Place, Washington, on the Puget Sound southwest of Tacoma. The British Links-style course is owned by Pierce County and opened for play on June 23, 2007. It hosted the U.S. Amateur in 2010 and the U.S. Open in 2015. Chambers Bay was the site of the U.S. Amateur in 2010 and hosted the U.S. Open in 2015. These events were awarded by the United States Golf Association in early 2008. Chambers Bay was set as a par 71 at 7,742 yards for the U.S. Amateur in 2010, the longest course in USGA history. The record only lasted until the following year when Erin Hill surpassed it by 18 yards. 11 months prior to the event, the USGA announced in July 2014 that all final round tickets and weekly ticket passes for the 2015 US Open were sold out. The tournament was eventually won by Jordan Spieth. Chambers Bay Golf Course will host the US Amateur 4-Ball Championship in 2021. Established in 2015, the 4-Ball, as it is known, is the newest USGA championship and replaces the now retired US Amateur Public Links Championship, which was established in 1922. During the 2015 US Open, Chambers Bay was subject to criticism for its bumpy greens, unfair course design, and poor accessibility for spectators. 9-time major champion Gary Player called it the worst golf course I might have ever seen in the 63 years as a professional golfer, and Henrik Stenson said that the greens were like putting on broccoli.
That's interesting. All right, well, we're going to give them ours because it's difficult. This will be a difficulty class 15, so we have to do better than a 15 on a dice 20 roll, a d20 roll, and there's nobody watching, so I can't give myself any pluses. If you don't know, if you're watching live and I do a challenge rating, you're involved, and I'll start adding pluses. You can add pluses right here. So, man, I encourage you to tune in. Right now, we got to get over a 15. Nope, 14. But we didn't do too bad. Next point, a dome. Tacoma Dome. Bill Gates' house is around here somewhere. I think I saw that yesterday flying around out here. Now, this is where it's been crashing on me, not the airplane itself. The simulator, for whatever reason, trying to fly around in this area has caused me to crash several times. So I hope it doesn't happen. If it does, we'll just respawn and get back in here. Or, restart the thing and get back in. Very busy stretch of road there.
The Tacoma Dome is a multi-purpose arena located in Tacoma, Washington, approximately 30 miles south of Seattle, and adjacent to Interstate 5. Upon winning an international design competition, local architects...
That won a design competition?
...the Tacoma Dome at a cost of $44 million. It opened on April 21, 1983. At 530 feet in diameter and 152 feet in height, the arena seats 20,722 for basketball games, with a maximum capacity of 21,000. It is the largest arena with a wooden dome in the world by volume, but is 143 feet high and seats a maximum of 16,000. The wood which was used to make the roof came from trees that were downed in the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens.
Wow.
Unlike most other arenas of its size, the arena contains little in the way of fixed seating, so as to maximize the flexibility of the seating arrangements and the shape of the playing field. It can also host American football, albeit with seating reduced to 10,000. The Dome's first event was a concert by American singer/actor Rick Nelson and the Stone Canyon Band as part of the Dome's opening festivities, April 24, 1983. It was the Seattle Supersonics' home floor for the 1994-95 season, while the Seattle Center Coliseum was being renovated and was used for various regular Sonics games during other seasons. It also hosted the Tacoma Rockets of the WHL from 1991 to 1995, the Tacoma Sabercats of the WCHL from 1997 to 2002, and the Tacoma Stars indoor soccer team of the Missile from 1983 to 1992. The Dome was also the venue of the gymnastics and figure skating events during the 1990 Goodwill Games, and home to numerous other minor league ice hockey and indoor soccer teams. The Dome also hosted the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship in back-to-back years. It was the site of the NCAA Division I AA Football Championship game in 1985 and 1986. The Tacoma Dome also hosted National Hockey League preseason exhibition games in 1983, 1984, 1988, 1992, and 1996. Bon Jovi filmed portions of their music video for the song Lay Your Hands on Me during their May 10, 1989 show at the Dome.
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue performed at the Tacoma Dome on October 15, 1987, as part of their Girls tour. During the performance, drummer Tommy Lee realized his dream of playing a drum solo upside down in a 360-degree rotating cage. Michael Jackson was scheduled to perform 3 concerts there on October 31st and November 1st and 2nd, 1988, during his Bad tour. Although all the shows sold out, the concerts were cancelled because of the performers' serious health problems. Billy Graham hosted one of his crusades in the Dome's first year of operation. He returned to the venue in 1991. During both crusades, Graham averaged 30,000 spectators every night.
Okay, so right over there, and the reason why I was looking over there and zooming in is there's the Washington State History Museum.
The Washington State History Museum is a history museum located in downtown Tacoma, Washington, United States. It is operated by the Washington State Historical Society under the official approval of the Washington State Legislature. The museum opened on August 10, 1996, at a building adjacent to historic Union Station that cost $42 million to construct. The museum maintains 3 permanent exhibits. One is about the history of Washington State and its relation to the Pacific Northwest, featuring artifacts from women's suffrage, industrialization, Native American tribes and items such as Clovis points. The uppermost floor of the museum contains the History Lab, where visitors can explore and learn about history in a more hands-on fashion with multiple interactive exhibits. The top floor is also home to the state's largest permanent model train layout, which covers 1,700 square feet and recreates scenes from Tacoma's Union Station, which is the museum and other regional railroads. The museum hosts an annual model train festival in
That sounds great. That really does. That sounds fantastic. All right, we're going to go check out a lake over here. Why it gets its own write-up, I don't know. And then there's the area for the Washington State Fair out there. I think there's an audio tour for that one as well. Why does this get an audio tour?
Lake Puyallup developed along the south edge of the Puget Sound Glacier. The glacier was in retreat northward after having reached its most southerly point. Drainage off the north face of Mount Rainier and the melting ice of the glacier was trapped in the valley of the Puyallup River. As the glacier moved north, the lake grew until it reached its largest capacity with the glacier at the glacial front across the Puyallup.
Look at how far Ranier is from here.
At Tacoma and northern bend of the White River at Auburn. When the ice retreated further north, it was reduced in depth and volume and takes on the name of Lake Tacoma. The Washington State Fair, formerly the Puyallup Fair, is the largest single attraction held annually in the state of Washington. The fair, which includes agricultural and pastoral displays and shows, amusement rides, and a concert series, continually ranks in the top 10 largest fairs in the United States. The Washington State Fair hosts 2 annual events, the 21-day Washington State Fair every September, and the 4-day Washington State Spring Fair every April. Situated in Puyallup, 35 miles south of Seattle and 10 miles east of Tacoma near Mount Rainier, the fairgrounds comprise 160 acres, with buildings and land valued at more than $54 million. The facilities are available for rent throughout the year, making the grounds a valuable community resource. It offers various seasonal festivals, such as the Victorian Country Christmas, as well as races, concerts, car shows, and sporting expositions, such as the International Sportsman's Exposition. A staff of 55 works year-round. Over 7,500 employees are hired each September during the fair.
Okay. Where is the next one? There it is. A theme park. Oh, the Boeing Company Fabrication plant. Which one's closer? This one's closer. The theme park.
Wild Waves Theme and Water Park is an amusement park and water park in Federal Way, Washington.
We need some custom content for this.
The Enchanted Village, the park is a popular summer destination in the Pacific Northwest and it is Washington State's only water and amusement park. The park's name was reverted to Wild Waves Water Park and Enchanted Village Amusement Park in April 2016, and once again changed to Wild Waves Theme and Water Park in November 2016. As a result of the park's acquisition by EPR Properties. The Enchanted Village theme park was first opened in 1977 by Byron Betts. The initial 12-acre park site held only a half-dozen rides. In 1984, Wild Waves Water Park was built adjacent to Enchanted Village. The combined amusement complex became known as Enchanted Parks. In 1991, co-owners Michael Mudenboer and Jeff Stock paid $8 million for Enchanted Parks. In 1993, Mudenboer traded his share of Enchanted Parks Incorporated for shares in their jointly owned amusement park in Amherstburg, Ontario, Canada called Boblo Island Amusement Park Incorporated in 1993. Jeff Stock purchased several rides from Boblo Island. Stock then sold his shares of Enchanted Parks Incorporated in late 2000 to Six Flags for $19.3 million. In 1997, the park purchased the Loop Corkscrew roller coaster from the defunct Rocky Point Amusement Park in Warwick, Rhode Island, and renamed the ride The Wild Thing. In 2000, the park had grown to over 70 acres, with more than 20 rides, and was the Northwest's largest water park. In 2002 and 2003, major expansion took place, with the addition of several new attractions, many manufactured by Zamperla and S&S
Oh, get up. What?
So in 2002,
Oh, I was in the wrong screen.
1,000 seasonal workers were employed for positions as rides
I don't know what happened there.
food service workers. Many of these seasonal workers are also students of local high schools. The park's name was reverted to Enchanted Village and Wild Waves Water Park for the 2016 season to once again split the park into two separate parks instead of one. This was accomplished by having a second entrance at the top of the parking lot to enter Enchanted Village, and the main entrance was used to enter Wild Waves Water Park. Ticket holders could purchase a pass to just Wild Waves or just Enchanted Village. They could also purchase a more expensive Park Hopper pass. Season Pass members got Park Hopper access free with their purchase. In the 2017 season, this system was removed and the entire park became Wild Waves theme and water park. This change was due to many complaints that the park hopping ticket system was too complicated.
All right, the Boeing plant that we just were over a minute ago, it didn't have an audio tour, and I can't believe nobody's put something there for Boeing yet. So come on, Seattle, Washington people, got to put something there for Boeing.
Pacific Raceways is a mixed-use road racing and drag racing facility near Kent, Washington. The racetrack was constructed in 1959 and opened in 1960. The track was originally named Pacific Raceways, then became known as Seattle International Raceways in 1969. After the landowner regained control of the track in 2002, the name reverted to Pacific Raceways. Pacific Raceways features a 2.25 miles road course which is used by the SCCA and ICSC for automobile road racing. The use is the course for motorcycle road racing. The course has more than 125 feet of elevation change and a beautiful naturally wooded back section. The track hosted two NASCAR Winston West Series between 1984 and 1985, won by Jim Bone and Dale Earnhardt respectively, and also hosted a NASCAR Northwest Series race in 2003, won by Jeff Jefferson. Pacific Raceways hosts a performance driving school which offers several curricula, including sanctioned race licensing courses, performance driving, lapping clinics, and specialty driving instruction. The facility also features a drag strip, which hosts the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series Northwest Nationals and Regional,
Right, Slick.
plus a dirt motocross track. Since 1988, Pacific Raceways has been home to the Northwest Nationals of the NHRA Drag Racing Series. The track played an important role during the heyday of professional sports car racing in the U.S. during the 1960s. From 1963 through 1968, Pacific Raceways hosted the Pacific Northwest Grand Prix.
No, I told you it was going to crash.
Road Racing Championship. From 1967 through 1970, the venue hosted an annual round of the SCCA Trans Am Series, including the
I don't know what it is.
in 1967 and 1968. The Trans Am Series returned to the track in 1975,
Restarting that.
1977, and 1982 through 1984. The SCCA Continental Championship for Formula 5000 cars visited the track from 1969 through 1971, and again in 1973. The track hosted a two-heat race weekend of the USAC Championship Car Series in 1969. The first heat was won by Mario Andretti and the second was won by Al Unser.
Cool.
The other champion drivers who have visited Victory Lane at Pacific Raceways are Mark Donohue, Brian Redman, David Hobbs, Ronnie Bucknam, Peter Gregg, Tony Adamovich, Parnelli Jones, Elliot Forbes Robinson, Pedro Rodriguez, Dave McDonald, Ken Miles, Jim Hall, and Jerry Titus.
We were so close. I mean, we're still very, very close. we're going to be landing at Boeing Field, not too far from here. I made it further than I made it in my other 2 test runs. It was crashing on me right when I was right around the dome area. I never made it to the dome or the state fair. So we made it a little bit further today. Still, I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's just, you know, we're in a, I don't know what it is. We're in a fast moving aircraft, and maybe it has something to do with that. It's trying to throw a bunch of information at us, but yeah, it really shouldn't be a problem. And I've turned down a lot of things because, you know, we can't see plants. You know, the flora and fauna stuff. I don't even think it's any of that's active. Seems to be acting laggy just on load. See if there's anything running. Else running. Shouldn't be. Some Navigraph stuff, but that shouldn't be any problem. Yeah, that'd be it. Okay. We were right here near Kent. I'll start us here at Maury Island. This was going to be the next place on our list. So from where it crashed, we were about, I don't know, 10 miles. We were headed straight for it, and we were about 10 miles away. If that. I don't know if we've hit 30 point of interest yet, but I think we're really close. There were some extra ones in there that... Wow, we're up so high. Am I not logged in again? Kick me out.
Maury Island is a tide island in Puget Sound in the U.S. state of Washington. It is connected to Vashon Island by an isthmus built by local homeowners in 1913. Before construction of the isthmus, the island was connected to Vashon only during low tide. The island is rural with large areas of farmland, forest, and relatively undeveloped shoreline. Currently, environmental issues on the island are under considerable scrutiny. Maury Island was named in 1841 during the Wilkes expedition in honor of William Lewis Maury, who between 1863 and 1864 raided Union ships on behalf of the Confederacy and is buried in Caroline County, Virginia. It was the site of the Maury Island incident, an unusual case of an alleged encounter with a UFO.
Wow.
Point Robinson Light is located on Point Robinson, the easternmost point on Maury Island. Dockton was once the site of a dry dock as well as a salmon cannery. Maury and Vashon Islands are home to the Vashon-Maury Island Community Council. In the 1940s, Vashon had a chamber of commerce that acted more like a community council than a traditional chamber. By the 1950s, The precursor to today's Community Council was organized and called itself the Civic Assembly. Today, the Community Council is charged with working to preserve the rural nature of Vashon and Maury Islands. Maury Island was also the center of controversy between the locals and a company that supplies ready-mixed concrete owned by the Toheo Cement Company of Japan. The company intended a 300-fold expansion of their existing gravel mine on the island, which was previously permitted to extract up to 20,000 tons per year. With the expansion, the company would have gained the capability to extract up to 40,000 tons per day. The opposition group made up of local islanders was known as Preserver Islands and staunchly advocated gathering more information before continuing mining operations on the island. The affected shoreline is located within the state's only existing aquatic preserve for notably diverse marine ecosystems. Opponents of the mine disputed many of the claims made by Glacier Northwest and alleged that the project will severely impact sensitive shoreline habitat. On December 30, 2010, King County bought the property and took possession of the land, including the keys to the property gate. The council adopted King County Executive Dow Constantine's proposed purchase and sale of the property on December 6, including the adoption of his financing package. The King County Department of Natural...
All right, man, some people will pour so much information into some place that are just, I guess, that really doesn't have any interest to me.
The Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium is a combined zoo, aquarium, and botanical garden located in Tacoma, Washington, U.S., owned by Metro Parks Tacoma.
All right. They should kind of all be a little bit short and sweet like that. Point Defiance.
Point Defiance Park began as a military reservation after the Wilkes expedition visited Puget Sound in the 1840s to map the bays and estuaries. Wilkes is thought to have noted that with a fort positioned at the point, and at Gig Harbor across the Narrows, one could defy the world. The high cliffs and prominent location were never used for military operations. In 1888, President Grover Cleveland authorized its use as a public park. By 1890, streetcars brought visitors to wander among the gardens. In 1903, a waterfront pavilion was completed. By 1907, a seaside resort designed by Frederick Heath offered heated saltwater bathing in a pavilion called the Nereides Baths.
Very nice.
The Tacoma Narrows Bridge is a pair of twin suspension bridges that span the Tacoma Narrows Strait of Puget Sound in Pierce County, Washington. The bridges connect the city of Tacoma with the Kitsap Peninsula and carry State Route 16 over the strait. Historically, the name Tacoma Narrows Bridge has applied to the original bridge nicknamed Galloping Gertie, which opened in July 1940, but collapsed because of aeroelastic flutter 4 months later, as well as the replacement of the original bridge which opened in 1950 and still stands today as the westbound lanes of the present-day Twin Bridge complex. The original Tacoma Narrows Bridge opened on July 1, 1940. The original bridge received its nickname Galloping Gertie because of the vertical movement of the deck observed by construction workers during windy conditions. The bridge became known for its pitching deck and collapsed into Puget Sound the morning of November 7, 1940, under high wind conditions. Engineering issues, as well as the United States' involvement in World War II, postponed plans to replace the bridge for several years. The replacement bridge was opened on October 14, 1950. By 1990, population growth and development on the Kitsap Peninsula caused traffic on the bridge to exceed its design capacity. As a result, in 1998 Washington voters approved a measure to support building a parallel bridge. After a series of protests and court battles, construction began in 2002 and the new bridge opened to carry eastbound traffic on July 16, 2007, while the 1950 bridge was reconfigured to carry westbound traffic.
Trying to figure out where I'm at the moment.
Dash Point State Park is a 398-acre Washington state park on Puget Sound that straddles the line between King and Pierce counties. The park has over 3,300 feet of shoreline, 140 campsites, 11 miles of trails for hiking and mountain biking, and offers beachcombing, fishing, swimming, birdwatching, windsurfing, skimboarding, and wildlife viewing. Dash Point is located across Commencement Bay from downtown Tacoma. Prior to being known as Dash Point, the area was known as Ulsan Landing, Fairview Beach, and Woodstock Beach. The origin of the name Dash Point is unclear. The area was named Dash Point on official maps by 1877. The land was sold by the McLeod family to the state of Washington in the late 1940s for use as a park. The park was dedicated and developed in 1962 for the Seattle World's Fair. Dash Point State Park is a popular destination for residents of Federal Way during the summer months. Due to the tide patterns on the point, low tides reveal large areas of beach, providing ample space for people to enjoy. It is common to see skimboarders on the beach. There is a yearly competition held by dashboards each summer. The trails in the park are popular with runners. Entrances to the trail network can be found along many parts of the park in Seattle-Tacoma International Airport ICAO, SEA, branded as SEA Airport and also referred to as SeaTac, is the primary commercial airport serving the Seattle metropolitan area in the U.S. state of Washington. It is in the city of SeaTac, which was named after the airport's nickname SeaTac, approximately 14 miles south of downtown Seattle and 18 miles north-northeast of downtown Tacoma.
The huge parking garage.
Is the busiest in the Pacific Northwest region of North America and is owned by Port of Seattle. The entire airport covers an area of 2,500 acres. The airport has flights to cities throughout North America, Oceania, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. It is the primary hub for Alaska Airlines, whose headquarters are near the airport. It is also a hub and international gateway for Delta Air Lines, which has expanded at the airport since 2011. As of 2022, 31 airlines operate at sea, serving 91 domestic and 28 international destinations. The 3 parallel runways run nearly north-south, west of the passenger terminal, and are 8,500 to 11,900 feet long. In 2018, the airport averaged 1,233 aircraft operations per day, 99% being commercial flights, 1% air taxi operations, and less than 1% transient general aviation and military. August 10, 2018, an empty Horizon Air Bombardier Q400 was stolen by a staff member and ultimately crashed on Ketron Island.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Air Force planes tried to force the plane to land.
All right, in front of us we have, to the left, the Highline Botanical Gardens. In front of us, the Tukwila International Boulevard Station, and Starfire Sports to our right.
Highline Botanical Garden is a 10.5-acre community botanical garden located at 13735 24th Avenue South, SeaTac.
Yep.
Tukwila International Boulevard is a light rail station in Tukwila, Washington, United States.
Great, that's all we really need to know.
Starfire Sports is a multi-purpose stadium and sporting facility in Tukwila, Washington, on the banks of the Green River, near Seattle. It is operated by the non-profit corporation Starfire Sports and is home to several soccer and rugby teams. At the time of its opening, CEO Chris Slott believed it to be the largest synthetic turf soccer complex in the U.S. Seattle Sounders FC has offices and training facilities at the complex, and stages Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup matches at the main stadium. Their affiliate team, Seattle Sounders FC2, played at Starfire from 2015 to 2017. The Seattle affiliate of Major League Rugby, the Seattle Seawolves, began play at Starfire Sports in spring 2018.
All right, this entire area seems to be called Foster, Washington.
Foster, Washington was a former community in King County in the U.S. state of Washington. Today, after being annexed in 1989, Foster's former area is a part of the city of Tukwila. A post office called Foster was established in 1903 and remained in operation until 1907. The community was named after Joseph Foster, an early settler. Besides the post office, at one time it had a school. In the 19th century, there was a Foster ferry landing on the Duwamish River near where today South 56th Street crosses the river and the Green River Trail. The name lingers on in the Foster Gulf links immediately upstream of that point and in Joseph Foster Memorial Park about 0.25 miles to the south-southwest. There was a Foster station on the Puget Sound Electric Railway at roughly the location of today's Tukwila Park and Ride.
All right, so this Boeing facility gets an audio tour.
The Boeing Company's Renton, Washington factory is a facility where the Boeing 737 MAX airliner is built. Production includes the 737 MAX 7, 737 MAX 8, 737 MAX 9, and 737 MAX 10 models. The floor space covered is 1.1 million square feet. The factory lies adjacent to Renton Municipal Airport. The Boeing Renton factory is built on land reclaimed by the lowering of the level of Lake Washington in 1916. From 1916 until 1930.
Man, it's getting louder the further away we're getting. That makes no sense.
Industrialist Charles A.
How is that happening?
Burnett Avenue and Burnett Park in Renton are named.
Hey, Microsoft Asobo, I think your volumes are
to use it for coal storage and
a little off.
Amy Louise Burnett Bond, Charles Burnett's daughter, whose mother died young, was raised by Mr. and Mrs. Howard Cranston Potter as the foster sister and godmother of Bertha Potter. The Burnett family operated the
look at that down there.
Farm.
An AWACS?
In 1936, Amy Burnett Bond transferred the property back to the state government. It was still mostly semi-swamp, economically marginal, and would cost millions to improve. The property was then transferred by the state of Washington to the federal government at the start of World War II. The Navy Department established an aircraft factory there for production of the Boeing PBB Sea Ranger flying boat. This order was cancelled, however, to free the factory for production of the Boeing B-29 Superfortress, the factory being transferred to the Army in exchange for use of the North American Aviation Kansas City factory for production of land-based North American B-25 Mitchells for the U.S. Marine Corps as PBJ-1s.
All right, there's our destination right there to the right, Boeing Field. So as I'm going through and doing the chapters after this live stream and I'm putting all that all together, I'll keep track of, I'll note the exact number of how many points of interest we were able to do.
The Museum of Flight is a private non-profit air and space museum in the Seattle metropolitan area. It is located at the southern end of King County International Airport in the city of Tukwila, immediately south of Seattle. It was established in 1965 and is fully accredited by the American Alliance of Museums. On its grounds is the Personal Courage Wing with 28 World War I and World War II aircraft from several countries including Germany, Russia, and Japan. There is also the Red Barn, a registered historic site also known as Building Number 105. Built in 1909, the building was used during the early 1900s as Boeing's original manufacturing plant.
I swore Bill Gates' place was around here. I think it's on the other shore over there on that other side. Unicorn Bar, Harborville, Smith Tower
is a roadside attraction and landmark in the Georgetown neighborhood,
Hat and Boots,
Washington. Built in 1954 as part of a Western-themed gas station, it is billed as the largest hat and cowboy boots in America. To preserve this landmark, the city of Seattle moved the hat and boots to the new Oxbow Park in December 2003. Hat and boots appeared in the film's National Lampoon's Vacation during the opening credits and hype.
I'll be
A
darned.
unique landmark can be found in Oxbow Park, which is now home to the largest hat and cowboy boots in the country, which originally were part of a Western-themed gas station built in the 1950s. The hat was originally the office of the gas station, and the bathrooms could be found inside the boots.
Whoops.
Quick Stop provides yet another example of the whimsical vibe of Seattle.
Okay, now, this shows you how dumb I am. Not that you didn't get that on your own. This guy is dumb. I always thought Puget Sound was on the East Coast. So as you look out there, straight up, 12 o'clock, it says Puget Sound, right? So as I was flying around here, I kind of discovered that last night and slapped myself in the forehead. Insert sound effect here. What? I swore, I would have sworn that the Puget Sound was something like out east, like Great Gatsby stuff. But no, it's here.
Puget Sound is a sound of the Pacific Northwest, an inlet of the Pacific Ocean, and part of the Salish Sea. It is located along the northwestern coast of the U.S. state of Washington. It is a complex estuarine system of interconnected marine waterways and basins, with one major and two minor connections to the open Pacific Ocean via the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Admiralty Inlet being the major connection and Deception Pass and Swinomish Channel being the minor. Water flow through Deception Pass is approximately equal to 2% of the total tidal exchange between Puget Sound and the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Puget Sound extends approximately 100 miles from Deception Pass in the north to Olympia in the south. Its average depth is 450 feet and its maximum depth, off Jefferson Point between Indianola and Kingston, is 930 feet. The depth of the main basin, between the southern tip of Whidbey Island and Tacoma, is approximately 600 feet. In 2009, the term Salish Sea was established by the United States Board on Geographic Names as the collective waters of Puget Sound, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and the Strait of Georgia. Sometimes the terms Puget Sound and adjacent waters are used for not only Puget Sound proper but also for waters to the north, such as Bellingham Bay and the San Juan Islands region. The term Puget Sound is used not just for the body of water but also the Puget Sound region centered on the Sound. Major cities on the Sound include Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, and Everett. Puget Sound is also the third largest estuary in the United States, after Chesapeake Bay in Maryland and Virginia, and San Francisco Bay in Northern California.
Guess where we're having lunch today? My treat. I would love to visit that. The elevator. See it? Chihuly Gardens. That has a lovely, nobody ever does anything wonderful with the rooftops. I always appreciate flying over things and you can see somebody's done something. Ross is the only corporation I've seen to put Ross on the top of their buildings. You know how boring it can be sometimes flying around and all you see is just plain old rooftops that we don't, who's looking, right? Us pilots. And as we go forward in the future and we do like inner city air taxis and this and that, unless you've got Bing Maps or something, Bing Map navigation, how are you going to find things? More importantly, think about the infrastructure that's going to need to be built to support us flying around. Hey, another thing I saw right over here, of interest to me, because United States are just modern. How do I say it? Modern business. Kenmore. Kenmore is a product. It's usually products made by Kenmore. If if you grew up in the 70s and 60s, 70s, and 80s, you're familiar with Kenmore, and they make airplanes, and occasionally you'll see Kenmore on the side of one of the airplanes that you're flying. And I just looked over. Here's Kenmore Air Harbor.
Volunteer Park is a 48.3-acre park in the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle, Washington, United States. History. Volunteer Park was acquired by the City of Seattle in 1876 from J.M. Coleman at a cost of $2,000. When Seattle Cemetery became Denny Park in 1884, the bodies interred there were moved to Washelli Cemetery, at the site of the future park. It soon became apparent that the
There's
land
Bill
was
Gates'
better
house.
suited to park use, and the bodies were moved once again, this time to Lakeview Cemetery. The park was renamed Lakeview Park. This caused considerable confusion, leading to another renaming to City Park in 1887. J. Willis Sayer, a Seattle theater critic, journalist and historian who had fought in the Spanish-American War, actively lobbied local officials to rename it once again as Volunteer Park, to honor the volunteers who served in the war. Volunteer Park is one of the highlights of Seattle's Olmsted Park and Boulevard system. The Board of Park Commissioners brought John Charles Olmsted, of the Olmsted Brothers landscape architects firm, to Seattle in 1903 to design a park system which would provide open space and help guide development in the rapidly growing city. In Olmsted's first comprehensive plan, Volunteer Park served as the central park of the system due to its location near downtown.
All right, so this wasn't on my plan, but since I saw it, I can't but not go look.
The Seattle Japanese Garden is a 3.5-acre
There's an extra one.
garden in the Madison Park neighborhood of Seattle. The garden is located in the southern end of the Washington Park Arboretum on Lake Washington Boulevard East. The garden is one of the oldest Japanese gardens in North America, and is regarded as one of the most authentic Japanese gardens in the United States. Beginning in 1937, plans were made to include a Japanese garden in the Arboretum, and after 20 years of fundraising the project began. Experts Kiyoshi Inoshita and Yuki Ida were appointed as designers and completed their plans in 1959. Yuki Ida selected William Yorizu as the prime contractor for plants, Richard Yamasaki for stone setting, and Kei Ishimitsu.
Again, it's getting louder the further away we're getting from the aircraft.
Was completed the next year.
That makes no sense.
1960. Construction and design of the garden included bringing over 500 granite boulders from the Cascade Mountains, ranging in size from 1,000 pounds to 11 tons. Wrapped in bamboo matting, the boulders traveled to Madison Valley and were arranged to complement a variety of culturally appropriate azaleas, rhododendrons, camellias, mosses and ferns. The garden featured a Shusein tea house donated by the city of Tokyo in 1959. This original tea house was burned by vandals on April 9, 1973 and reconstructed by Yasunori Fred Sugata in 1980 and 1981. It took 8 years of fundraising by the Arboretum Foundation until the tea house was ready to be rebuilt. The garden has undertaken several other infrastructure improvements, including a new gatehouse and community meeting room. The gatehouse project was completed in 2009. The new structure includes a bronze gate designed by local Seattle sculptor Gerard Tsutakawa. The garden was awarded the Japanese Foreign Minister's Commendation for their contributions to promotion of...
She's still on about the gardens?
Between Japan and the United States.
Yeah, she is.
December 1st, 2020. The Seattle Japanese Garden...
Okay, enough about the garden, I'm sorry. Gotta get a move on.
Bill and Melinda Gates own a mansion that overlooks Lake Washington in Medina, Washington. The 66,000-square-foot mansion incorporates technology in its design. In 2009, property taxes were reported to be US $1.063 million on a total assessed value of US $147.5 million. The mansion is a modern design in the Pacific Lodge style, with classic features such as a private library with a dome-shaped roof and oculus. The house features an estate-wide server system, a 60-foot swimming pool with an underwater music system, a 2,500-square-foot gym and a 1,000-square-foot dining room.
Ugh. I put it into a stall. So I'm terribly sorry about that.
Unicorn is a one-of-a-kind bar and restaurant found in Seattle's mega-hip Capitol Hill neighborhood that serves visitors amid vibrantly colored walls of carnival stripes and taxidermy. The carnival theme does not stop at the decor, as the food menu is full of carnival food one can enjoy while having a finely crafted cocktail before playing pinball or hopping in the photo booth. Unicorn and Narwhal are two carnival-themed bars located in Capitol Hill, Seattle. Each packs its own vibe into one location, offering whimsical food and drink options. Step right up and enjoy our unicorn helmets, claw machine, photo booth, arcade, and weekly events.
Hey, CenturyLink Field.
CenturyLink Field is a
T-Mobile Park
stadium located in Seattle, Washington, United States. CenturyLink Field was renamed to Lumen Field after the telecommunications company rebranded to Lumen Technologies. It is the home field for the Seattle Seahawks of the National Football League and the Seattle Sounders FC of Major League Soccer. Originally called Seahawks Stadium, it became Qwest Field in June 2004, when telecommunications carrier Qwest acquired the naming rights. It received its current name in September 2020. It is a modern facility with views of the downtown Seattle skyline and can seat 68,740 people for NFL games and 37,722 for most MLS matches and XFL games. The complex also includes the event center with the Washington Music Theater, a parking garage, and a public plaza. The venue hosts concerts, trade shows, and consumer shows along with sporting events. Located within a mile of downtown Seattle, the stadium is accessible by multiple freeways and forms of mass transit. The stadium was built between 2000 and 2002 on the site of the Kingdome after voters approved funding for the construction in a statewide election held in June 1997.
How can I not? We have to play football. We've got to get some exercise in today. So let me get my dice. Is anybody tuned in? Let me look down into the bowels of the machine. Hey, there's somebody watching. Me and you are going to get into a football game with the local team here, or just some guys, whoever. We're just going to grab some guys off the street at this point, unprepared, and we're going to have a quick game with them. If I could be on the right screen. That's Bushtalk. There we go. Sorta. How did that get out of whack? All right, so it's a difficulty class 10. It's an even match between us and some guys off the street. So, and you're here, so we're gonna get a +1. Oh, but they just suddenly got a big guy to play on their team. So we'll make it a difficulty class 13. But because you add a +1, we need to beat a 12, a 19. Okay. We handily defeat them. Now, quick, while we're here, we might as well take the time to play a quick game of baseball. We'll take our winnings from that one and we'll bet a couple of guys here. Bad feeling about this one, though. Gotta tell you. Okay, let me see if you're still here. We still get a plus. No, They left. They didn't like the football game. They're sad about it. But we won. So I have to take away my +1. Make this a 13, a 20. Score a crit. Good with that. Some people don't understand the role-playing thing. They're, it says my demographic is old. You know, they're like, we encourage you to analyze, to get to know your audience. And, you know, the guys that come in and chat with me, they're actually pretty young all the time. But it says that my audience is old. Like me. Old. Just old. And, so some old people like myself, sometimes we don't get things, you know. But how do they not know, like, Dungeons and Dragons? If you're old and you're like me, then you grew up in a time where you know what Dungeons and Dragons is. You know what role-playing is. So might as well have a little fun while we're messing around in Microsoft Flight Simulator. No, I didn't call it in. I'm a special VIP. I don't have to tell anybody about where I'm coming or going. Hey, this is my reality. Like, you don't do it by the book, and that's why people don't watch you. You know, you don't. You know, you're just a flight simmer. You're not a real pilot. Well, that hurts my feelings. Everybody's been making a big deal about that lately. That, yeah, of course. Yes. Real pilots are real pilots. And, yeah. But, you know, we don't need to be insulting to flight simmers. Some of us, yeah, some of us have spent, you know, sometimes more years than real pilots in their education, right? So, yeah, I may not be a pilot, but, you know, across all of the years and the hours that I put in, still not a pilot, but, you know, thousands of hours. I know it's a big deal in the real world when you get 3,000 hours of flight time. You know, and I know that, again, simming it's not real. But over 3,000 hours of simming is that's still impressive. People are all impressed when you're like, oh my God, you have 172 hours in that game? 172 hours? So the last the last number that I ran or can remember running put me over like 6,000 hours. I don't know what that is. Maybe but let's just say 3 for certain. For certain. If you want me to be more in depth about things and you want me to do live streams that are more about doing things by the book, going through the checklists and pulling up all the charts and making sure all the frequencies are correct and, you know, doing everything by the book, I have no problem if that's what you want. But sometimes I'm just trying to get, like today, just trying to get to it. You know, mucking about with real world flight planning and whatever, trying to get through what we just went through. Come on. Anyway, I hope you had fun today. I had a blast, despite it crashing. But again, I told you it could crash. It had. I saw a couple of things that weren't on my list to see. So I have a good feeling we definitely did at least 30, but I think we did more than 30 point of interest today. So I'll add it all up when I'm going through right after this is processed, or as this is processing, I'll go through and start working on the chapters for everything. So not exactly an hour. We're 38 minutes over, but hey, that was a lot of fun. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow yet. I've got to start thinking about that and start planning. Didn't do a good job of pre-planning this week, but I'll get to it. So I will see you tomorrow, same time, and you have a great, great night. I'm going to let this run on a black screen for like 20 seconds so that, when it presents your end screen, there's just not so much information bombarding it. I don't really like the way they present end screens. They should put the text around the video art. Everything's laid on it. So if you've got some busy cover art, then they lay the text on there. Then it's in white, and I just don't think that really helps anybody. And I really encourage YouTube. You need to send some feedback on that. Please display the end screen